morning. It's so nice to see all of you. It's been a long couple of years, and we have missed you terribly. Thank you. So tonight we get to start with a wonderful performer, the Reverend Jones. But before we even get going, I want to tell you about, there's a silent auction over here. And you can buy beer and wine and Pellegrino water over here. And the storytellers, I know you're going to love us so much, you're going to want us to go home with you in your suitcases or your backpacks, so you can buy some stuff from us over there. But most important, here we all are. We are like dry plants ready to be watered, aren't we? Yeah. So the teller tonight is, I mean, some people just have soul, and that soul just grows and grows and grows and comes out in the form of stories and music, and you are about to be absolutely enchanted by my dear friend, Reverend Robert Jones. So.
Preach some music, all right. Thanks so much, Reggie. It's such a joy to be here. For me, it's the first time here in Ojai, so it's just amazing. What a beautiful and wonderful and spiritual place. And then to be here with so many of my friends, fellow storytellers. And tonight we're going to hear some American music and some American stories. It's a good combination. I come from Detroit, and my grandmother introduced me to this amazing music called the blues. And she didn't do it like, you know, people like my grandmother. I sat down by my grandmama's knee and learned the blues. Well, I did sit down by her knee and learn the blues, but I learned it on her Magnavox stereo. And she loved people like Lightning Hopkins, you know. I don't want no skinny woman. Give me a girl, got lots of meat. Well, I don't want no skinny woman. Give me a girl, got lots of meat. Yeah, 'cause when I get to hugging my woman, Lord, you know I sure don't want to have to stop to eat. And even though I would sit there listening to that Lightning Hopkins, and when I started singing it, she said, "Shut up, boy! That's what we moved from down south to get away from." But my grandmother always made sure I went to church, and I could not figure out how, you know, where the blues came from until I went to church, and I realized that the blues came out of what came over from Africa and what came over from Europe. So you take European music and you mix it with African music in the Deep South, and you come up with American music. Now, when I was a kid, you know, back before the pandemic, you know, back in the days when you could get 400 kids and put them all in a gym at cafetorium. Now, y'all don't know what that is, but you see, back in the day, the teachers knew you needed a cafeteria, a gymnasium, and an auditorium, so they built a school with all three of those. But modern school systems said, no, we'll give you a multi-purpose room. And so when you got through playing basketball, the custodian would come and turn it into the cafeteria, and then if a special guest showed up, he'd turn it into the auditorium. So it became the gym to cafetorium. And that's why whenever I would go to schools, I would also make sure that I knew the principal, because he signed the check, the secretary, because she knew where the check was, and the custodian, because he knew where the extension cord was. They could turn it into the auditorium, right? And you get these kids together, and those kids would look at you and say, "Okay, old man, impress me." And I'd be like, "Okay, kids, you know, American music starts with something called the blues, don't you?" And it's like, "No, well, the blues. 3 chords, it had to be simple." And so, if you were a slave, you couldn't sing the blues. You could have the blues, but you couldn't sing the blues in slavery. I mean, you couldn't like, "If I could get me a great big gun, I'd chase a master, I'd have some fun." You could not sing that all the time. Well, maybe you could sing it like once, and that'd be it, right? But you can moan whatever you wanted to. It's like, you know, and what you were moaning was your business. They call that music the spiritual. That's what happened when you had to substitute what you were saying and what you were feeling for what you were saying. Right? Now, the spiritual comes out of what came over on ships like the Mayflower, where you brought the scale. And you were down south at a weather-beaten building, and the windows and the doors are open to get a breeze through. The year's about 1845, and you hear this. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. And you know now you are standing in front of the white Methodist church. You know they are Methodists because they've been singing the song for 100 years, but they're still checking the text. And you know that they are white because there's not much gymnastics going on in that church. Everything lands right on the beat. Amazing grace. Go 500 feet down the road, and you hear music coming out of the barn, or out of the stable, or even a stand of trees. And that's where those enslaved folks in the Deep South are singing. And they got the same songs because they got the same preachers. But the songs come out sounding different. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh Lord, I see. It's just like storytelling. If you write it down, it becomes a book. But if you tell it person to person, it becomes a story. And the story tends to change. And when you pass it down from father to son through the oral tradition, it changes. Write it down in a hymnal, doesn't change much. Your father sings, Amazing Grace, and you sing, Amazing Grace, and your son sings, Amazing Grace, and your great-great-great-great-granddaughter moves to Ojai and she sings, Amazing Grace, and it doesn't change that much. But where you pass it down, your father used to sing, Amazing Grace, and you decide it's not fancy enough, so you say, Amazing Grace. Now, little did you know your son was going to fall in love with that pretty girl from Kentucky. And when she sings The Baby's Asleep, she's been known to sing, Amazing Grace. And 7 generations later, your great-great-great-great-granddaughter, Aretha, moves to Detroit. And she sings, Take your time, Aretha. Grace. That's just 2 words. 20 minutes later, you've experienced Amazing Grace, and you've experienced the folk process. Amen. Now, all of this music, all this American music comes out of this. You're going to hear this amazing singer tonight, and she's going to let you into the branches of American music. But let me take y'all back to the roots, because the roots of American music is simple. It's 3 chords, and it's 5 notes. Had had to be simple for people to learn it and for it to go along between generations. Imagine this old guy named Son House in the Mississippi Delta in the 19-teens, and he's learning something called the Delta Blues. In fact, he's inventing something called the Delta Blues. And it's like, I got a letter this morning, how you ringing red? Said hurry, hurry, gal, your love is dead. Got a letter this morning, oh Lord, how you ringing red? Saying hurry, hurry, cause the gal you love is dead. I never said it was uplifting. Quite depressing actually, but that's okay. But those 3 chords in those 5 notes becomes the start of American music. And imagine this guy, this white guy who's down in Meridian, Mississippi, in the middle of Mississippi, and he was working on the railroad. He was a brakeman. But all of a sudden he contracted tuberculosis. And somebody said, Jimmy, you can't work hard like you used to. You gotta go and make them new things called records. So he goes to Bristol and he makes these recordings, and it's like, got a T for Texas, T for Tennessee. Got a T for Texas, T for Tennessee. Got a T for Thelma, the one who gave the blues to me. And that guy was Jimmy Rogers, father of country music. When they asked you, what did you do last night at the Heart Center? Said we heard a black man yodel. It was pretty cool. The same 3 chords with the same 5 notes. Doesn't end there. Imagine those piano players who got a hold of those 5 notes and turned it into boogie woogie. And then with the other hand, they played those 3 chords. And they had songs like this coming out of the cities. Well, hand me down my jumper, baby. Won't you iron my overalls? Won't you hand me down my jumper? Won't you iron my overalls? Well, I'm about to catch a train, what they call a cannonball. And that was hot stuff in the 20s. But by the time the 30s rolled around, America was in a Great Depression. And a lot of those boogie-woogie piano players started looking for work in black churches. And much to the chagrin of the pastor, church music started sounding a lot like boogie-woogie. They didn't call it church boogie-woogie. They called it gospel. Y'all know the song? Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, Lord, this little light of mine. Say it now. I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, this little light of mine, Lord, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Come with me now. Well, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, Lord, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Same 3 chords, same 5 notes. That doesn't end there. Imagine it's 1935. You got a young man by the name of Bill Monroe out of Kentucky. Comes up with something called bluegrass. Ladies and gentlemen, quite frankly, one of the most un-Negro kind of music you can imagine. 5 white guys standing around a microphone wearing a cowboy hat and yelling, "Yee-haw!" periodically. It's not my idea of bliss. But there is blues in bluegrass, in part because one of Mr. Monroe's teachers was a black man by the name of Arnold Schultz, who never recorded, but also because he had a really cool guitar player by the name of Lester Flatt. Y'all ever watch the Beverly Hillbillies? Lester is the one holding the guitar going. Y'all come back now here. Because Lester played this thing called the G-Run. And at the end of those bluegrass verses, he goes. And so, of course, you get good songs like, I'm going down the road feeling bad. Lord, I'm going down the road feeling bad. I'm going down the road feeling bad. Lord, Lord, and I ain't going to be treated this way. Yeah! Same 3 chords, same 5 notes. Doesn't end there. Imagine it's like 1948. you get a young man by the name of Ray Charles, not to be confused with Jamie Foxx. Ray Charles comes out of the black church, so everywhere that he used to say Jesus, Ray now says baby. And it works out great until one night he runs out of songs. And Ray said, "That's all right, baby. Just sing back to me what I sing to you." So you guys are in the band. Sing back to me what I sing to you. Are you ready? Yeah. I say, are you ready? Yeah. Sing, hey, hey, oh, oh, hey, hey, oh, oh, hey, hey, oh. Tell me what I say. 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 Let's do it again. Say, say, wait a minute, one more time. Say, oh, oh, hi, hi, oh, oh, hi, oh, hi, oh, hi. Tell me what I say. 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 I say those are the same 3 chords and the same 5 notes. Now we call it R&B. Doesn't end there. Imagine it's 1955 and you got a gigantic television in the middle of your living room with a big wooden box with a little tiny screen. Only gets 3 stations. Children are horrified. What? No cable? No cable. You only got 3 stations in that only if your little brother's holding on to the antenna. Amen. So that means that every Sunday night we all watching the same thing on CBS. Ladies and gentlemen, have a really good show for you tonight. And I like this young man. He comes to us from Tupelo, Mississippi. By way of Memphis, Tennessee, he uses 3 chords and 5 notes, ladies and gentlemen. Ed sticks his arm out, and the kid goes, "Going for money, for the show. Need a good riding on cocaine, don't you? Mess with my blue suede shoes. You can do the things off my blue suede shoes. Suede shoes, blue, blue, blue suede shoes, blue, blue, blue suede shoes, blue, blue, blue suede. You can do the things off my blue suede shoes." Thank you very much. Thank you. Now when I used to go to those gymnasiums, even the 2nd graders knew who that was. I said, "Who is that?" "Elvis." "Who is he?" "He was the king." "King of what?" "Rock and roll." I said, "That's cool. You know about the black king, right?" "There's a black king?" A guy named Chuck Berry used to sing country to a blues beat. "Maybelline." And as he kept singing, the dances kept getting faster and faster. So the music kept getting faster and faster. It became so fast it became. Way down in Louisiana, down in New Orleans, back up in the woods on Evergreen, stood an old cabin made of earth and wood, where the little boy named Johnny B. Good. Little boy could never read or write so well. He could play the guitar just like the ringing of bells. Say, "Go, go, Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, go, go." Yeah, Johnny be good. But it's the same 3 chords and the same 5 notes. But could you imagine that in a segregated South, kids were told, "Don't listen to black music. Don't listen to white music. It's not your music." But there were black kids who wanted desperately to be Elvis, and white kids who wanted desperately to be Chuck Berry, and for some reason Little Richard, but that's an entirely different subject. And as those kids would listen to that music, they were breaking down the walls. They didn't care where it came from, it was just cool. So by the time the 60s rolled around, coming from Detroit were 5 smooth, good-looking black guys from Detroit. The label was called Motown. And they'd go down into a segregated South and play in front of a gymnasium that had a rope down the middle to keep the black kids on one side and the white kids on the other side. But when those 5 kids hit those 5 notes, those kids got excited and they tore down the rope for the Temptations. I got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. Sing it with me. Well, I guess you say, what can make me feel this way? My girl, talking about my girl, my girl. So when the kids, thank you. When the kids start ridiculing you and telling you about the music that you listen to, look them in the eye and tell them about Son House. And tell them, you know what, if Son House hadn't done this song called the Death Letter Blues in 1928, and instead of doing each verse twice, Son did each verse once, sped up the tempo of the song, faded the music out, and let them know about the 1928 Death Letter Blues 2021 for remix. Tell them this is what Son did. Got a letter this morning, how do you think it read? Said, hurry, hurry, cause the gal you love is dead. You know I packed up my suitcase, took off down the road. When I got there, she was laying out on the cooling board. I eased up close and I looked down in her face and said, hey, you know I love you, but I just can't take your place. It seemed like 1,000 was standing around the funeral ground. I didn't know how much I love that day they put my baby in the ground. I walked away and said, hey, you know I love you, have to see you judgment day. You know I woke up this morning, it was about the break of day. I was hugging on the pillow where my baby used to lay. Between the church mouth down, I tried to pray, but the blues was coming on and it flowed my spirit away. This morning about the break of day and I was hugging on the pillow where my baby used to lay. I said, Coach, I thought I heard a call menage. She didn't call so loud, but she called so plain. Yeah, boy.
Well, I can tell you guys all like to sing. Robert's going to be doing a workshop on Sunday with a lot of singing, so be sure to sign up for that. So our journey through music continues with Kimberly Ford and the Dreamland Band. So we all love the music of Joni Mitchell, and we're going to hear stories and music. Please welcome from Santa Barbara, Kimberly Ford and the Dreamland Band.
I can't reach it. What'd you come up with?
I couldn't know. I'm just trying to figure that was coming to my mind.
Will you take a picture of the three?
Yeah, sure.
Back up. Back up.
No. You gotta look at it. That's a good one.
Stand, you want me to take one of all of you?
Oh, yeah.
You got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did.
That's good. You want me to take one of them? It's gone. We just need to. Oh, okay.
Here you go.
She does it. Where am I? Am I upside down?
Yeah, you are.
I'm upside down. And you like it full, right? Oh, that's good. That looks good. Tell me. Turn it. I'm wondering if I should go check
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Kimberly Ford.
Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun, and they rain and they snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions that I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. He comes for conversation. I comfort him sometime. Comfort and consolation. He knows that's what he'll find. I bring him apples and cheeses. He brings me songs to play. He sees me when he hears it. I see him in cafes and old sacred love and turn away before his late note. How much I wanna see him. She moves him like a ring. To wash her hands, she only brings them out to show her friends. I wanna free him. Secrets and sharing soda. That's how our time begins. Love is last night I couldn't sleep. Oh, you know it sure is not easy, but it's really not my home. It's been all the time since I was traveling down the street. Now that I'm and I have my message to go. Carry it out, you can. Open up my silver. Go and make a plan from tonight. Said, oh, you're an old man, but you're out of sight. It is so great to be here. It's so great to be anywhere, right? It's so nice to be out of Tom's garage. That's Tom. Actually, we have many Toms, but our band is called Dreamland. And thank you. We were formerly a celebration of Joni Mitchell, but we were pretty sure that there was going to be a short fuse on that one eventually, you know, so we thought we'd try for something a little more obscure. So we are called Dreamland. And gosh, the Storytellers Festival, we were fortunate to play here once before and loved every minute of it. Twice before, that's right. COVID brain? You know, it's like, was that last year, 3 years ago? I just don't even know. So anyway, played here twice before, loved it, love the Storytellers Festival, it's so great. And I think that one thing that really attracts us to this music is that Joni Mitchell was also an amazing storyteller. And she told her stories through her lyrics and had this amazing capacity for kind of actually showing, you know, and not telling. She didn't, she just described a scene and you knew. It was just so wonderful. So this music kind of defined my early years, and I think it still does. It's so timeless. I just love it. So we're glad that you're enjoying it too. So it's kind of all Joni all the time with us. So we do other things, but no, but Dreamland is our band. Coyote. We just come from such different sets of circumstance. I'm up all night in the studio and you're up early on your ranch. You'll be rushing out of Ruben's town while the sun is ascending, and I'll just be getting home with my reel to reel. There's no comprehending just how close to the bone and the skin and the eyes and the lips you can get. Still feel so alone, but still feel related. Like some stations is no merely or not a hitting and driving, no, no, racing away. You just picked up a hitcher, a prisoner of the white lines on the freeway. Prisoner of the white lines. days on the road to Ojai, my hometown. He went running through the whisker of wheat, chasing sunrise down, and a hawk was playing with him. Coyote was jumping straight up and making passes. Those same eyes like yours under your dark glasses. Quietly broke in the club rooms, thinking the keyholes and number doors. While the players that grew up to take their temporary lovers, pills and dollars to get them through this passionate play. No regrets, Coyote. I'll just get off the page. You just picked up a hitcher, a prisoner of the white lawns on the freeway. Coyote's in a coffee shop, staring a hole in his scrambled eggs. Picks up my son on his fingers while he's watching the waitress's lips. He's too far from the bed, Appaloosas and needles and ties, and air-conditioned cubicles, and the carpet ribbon vines. I'm spelling it out so clear, either gonna have to stand and fight or chase on out of here. I try to run away myself, try to run away and wrestle with my ego. This flame, put her in this Eskimo, in this hitcher, in this hitcher of the fine white lines, of the white lines on the freeway. Well, thank you. Who remembers the Blue album? They remember the Blue album, you guys.
It's by Miles Davis, wasn't it?
Songs are like tattoos, you know I've been to see before. Crown and anchor me, or let me sail away. Hey blue, here's a song for you. Ink on a pen, underneath the skin, an empty space to fill in. Oh, there's so many sinking down, you gotta keep thinking you can make it through these waves. Acid, booze, and ass, needles, guns, and breaths. Lots of lips, lots think so, but I'm gonna take a look around at the blue. I love you. I love you. Blue, here's a shell for you. Inside you'll hear a sigh, a foggy lullaby. There's your song from me.
Kimberly Ford.
There's so many wonderful tunes. It was really hard for us to compress them into 1 hour, so we're going to play them really fast. So, Joni wrote this next song. She had followed her songs are all story songs, and most of them are about love and loss. And this particular song was written, she followed a guitar player, boyfriend to Las Vegas, and she knew she was going to hate it. And she hated it. She really did. But she got this great song out of it. So this was a song that she wrote and kind of, in not tribute, but this was her experience in Las Vegas. I'm in a world of dimes, stalking the stalk top. I keep hearing bells all around me, jingling the lucky jackpot. They keep you tantalized, they keep you reaching for your wallet here in fool's paradise. I talked to a guy from Boyd. He said he ran a cleaning plant. That guy was clanking with coin. Well, he must have had a genie in a lamp, 'cause every time I dropped a dime up to it, he kept ringing bells, nothing to it. He dropped 3 oranges, 3 lemons, 3 cherries, 3 plums. I'm losing my cheese for fruit, watching the dry cleaner door. I gotta see a polyester suit. It's just luck, it's just luck. You get a little lucky and you make a little money. The circus while the cops filling room with their big horns. The cleaner was pitch up with her beats. He had needles and runners and lions, big and blue there. You can lose there.
wonderful audience. Woo! You really are. Oh gosh. This next song was thank you. This next song was kind of a coming of age song that she wrote about kind of growing up in a provincial, small Canadian town as she did, and just kind of starting to feel your oats a little bit. Betty, I'm sure, remembers that, right? Maybe you're remembering it again. So Joni wrote songs in all different kinds of tunings. They weren't normal. And So, you probably already know that. There's something so distinctive about her sound. And that was because she wrote in so many different keys. And she would create these tapestries in her mind, and then she would lay the lyrics on top of that. She would get the sound just right. She would just mess with the tuning up here, get the different pitches on the strings, completely different than anybody had ever done. Everybody was kind of doing the regular thing. And Joni was constantly changing the strings. So when she finally started doing electric, she was touring with 35 different guitars, because that's what it took. And so it's not just that it looks cool to have Sven flying out of nowhere and handling it. I mean, I think it's really cool, and I'm really glad he does it. Could never do it without him. But he's changing tuning back there and doing all kinds of magical things. So anyway, it's just a little bit about that. Now she came on so strong and so fast in the late 60s and the early 70s, produced so many albums, I think 21 albums to her credit. And was she artist, one of the top 50, who remembers? I don't remember anything. I think she was considered one of the top 50 female artists of all time in Rolling Stones. And they owed it to her, really. But she was kind of thumbing her nose at the music industry with this next one, and thought, okay, fine, I'll write a hit for you. They just said, write a hit, whatever you do, make it sound like something that you did before that was a hit. And so, that she was such a renegade, that she wrote this next song, and it became a hit anyway, in spite of her, in spite of them.
Driving into town in the dark night of fun, dialing the number who's bound to love. Honey, you turn me on. I'm a radio, I'm a country station, I'm a little bit corny. I'm a wildwood flower waiting for you, broadcasting tower waiting for you, and I'm sending up a signal here. So quick, and you don't like strong.
See, isn't it cool that he does that? we all thank Sven a lot. You know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce this wonderful band. I feel like just the luckiest person in the world, and everybody just sort of hung in there for these past few years and knew that it was going to come back around. You know? A few, well, felt like a few years, felt like 10 years, right? 2 years ago. It was too long. It was too long, right? Tom Buckner on saxophone. George Friedenthal on piano, vocals, and the little thing. This little thing, right? Melodica.
Little thing. Kimberly, you like saying that, huh?
Tom Hatchard on bass. Our newest member, Dave Hunt on drums. It's just killing it. Lee Roleg on guitar. And he also plays fiddle, but not tonight, as well. And on everything else, we have Sven Holcomb here in the back. So while I have your attention, we have another gig. We're so excited. There's 2 gigs. So our next one is going to be at Soho in Santa Barbara. So Soho on the 28th, which is right after Thanksgiving. So the 28th of November, we're going to be there. So if you just have had enough family and you maybe need an activity, come on down to Soho on the 28th of November. Should we start again? We have never started again. That's never happened. You were the first ones to ever witness that.
Call that
A COVID relapse, as we just had one.
Help me, I think I'm falling in love again. When I get that crazy feeling, I'm in trouble again. I'm in trouble, 'cause you're a runner and a gambler and a sweet talking ladies man. And we love our loving. Now we love our freedom.
loud.
Yeah, we didn't screw that one up.
There you go.
Well, case of you. Okay, we have to tell you why we're laughing.
There's a story.
There is a story behind Case of You. Yeah, I mean, so we
gotta hear it.
You have to hear it. No, we were. I think we were in Santa Cruz, and sometimes we get a chance to get out of town, tour a little bit. And we were up in Santa Cruz, and we had not prepared Case of You, much like tonight. We had a really prepared Case of You, and because we play different instruments. And anyway, and a woman said, "Case of You," and we said, "Oh, sorry, we don't have it yet, And she got increasingly more agitated. And pretty soon she's screaming, and I'm singing Blue or something. She's going, "Case of You!" And they had to escort her out. They had to make her leave the building. And I thought, wow, how cool is that at this stage in my life that they're having to drag people out of concerts, Joni Mitchell concerts. Okay, we didn't know. Okay, well, this is our last song for the night. Even though we know a lot more, but anyway, that's... Yeah, you'll have to come to us. Okay. You're that woman, aren't you? We have a fan, she follows us.
We need a bouncer.
Cut her off, she's already had a case.
Okay.
invited to, but we recently.
Nice meeting you. She was great. Is she playing another?
I came upon a child of God. He was walking along the road, and I asked him, "Where are you going?" And this he told me, "I'm going down to Yasgur's farm. I think I'll join in the rock and roll band. I'm gonna camp out on the land and try and set my soul free. We are stardust. We are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden." Can I walk beside you? I have come here to lose the smile, and I feel to be a cog in something turning. Maybe it is just the time of year, or maybe it's the time of man. I don't know who I am, but you know life is for learning. We are stardust. We are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the By the time we got to Woodstock, we were 500,000 strong, and everywhere there was song and celebration. I dreamed I saw the bombers riding shotgun in the sky. They were turning into butterflies above our nation. We are stardust, billion-year-old carbon. We are golden, caught in the devil's bargain, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. pushing through a 4-lane highway. Government sends $3,000 for citizen flyaway. First he did a 57 biscuit, he threw it in the ditch. He drank up all the rest, that son of a bitch. His blood bounce, he always raised on robbery. We'll see you on November 28th at Soho for Dreamland. Thank you so much.